Hello everyone, this is Dr. Barry Graham of Southwestern Christian College. The purpose of this video is to review some of the Schoology training that we've done recently. This is a review of what we did July 5, 2018. This is a copy of our agenda for the day. You'll notice that it's helpful if you have a digital copy of your syllabus and course calendar. And for the future, it's great if you have digital or at least hard copies of any tests, assessments, instruments, assignments, rubrics, and of course your student learning outcomes. I've highlighted here what we actually were able to cover that day. We had 5 things originally. We were able to cover 2. Number 1, to successfully import the course template that we're now using to use for one of your fall courses. You'll actually be using it for all of your fall and eventually spring courses. And then finally, to learn to upload your syllabus into your course page, into your Schoology page, to make those kinds of documents available to your students. Here is the Schoology homepage. We're assuming that you know how to get into Schoology, but just in case you don't, let's see if we can log out here quickly and bring you back in. You're going to notice that the address here is swcc.schoology.com. Ignore the rest of this. It's just, ignore the little prefix here. swcc.schoology.com. You'll put in your username. If you've done it before, it might come up automatically and you can just click on it. And then your password. By the way, if you don't have some of this information, please feel free to contact me, Barry Graham, or Joyce Cathy. We'll be glad to get you that information. So I'm going to put in my password and log into our Schoology site. Initially, you'll be taken to the home page, which includes some of the discussion threads among Schoology educators that are going on out there. For our purposes today, what we want to do is to show you, as we mentioned, how to import our new course template. To do that, what we'll want to do is first go about creating one of the courses that we'll be using in the fall. And by the way, you can also import in information and content from previous courses that you've used, and you can do that in the same way that we'll be demonstrating here. So the first thing we'll want to do is to go to the course drop-down menu, and you'll notice you'll see 3 options: Create, Join, and See All. We're going to hit Create, and you'll be putting in the appropriate information here. Best practices says that you should put in the name of the course. In my case, I'm going to put in Humanities 231, which I've done in the past. And one good thing to do is to put in the colon, and that way you can actually put in additional information if you would like to. I like to put in not only the name of the course, but the information as to when the course meets. So mine meets this semester at 8 a.m. The course code is really not necessary. You can put in HUM 231, what appears in the catalog there, if you want to. If you have more than one section, this is a place where you can add an additional section. I only have one section of this class up to this point, so I'm just going to simply leave that there as is. My subject area, by the way, everything with an asterisk by it is necessary information. You won't be able to create your course if you don't have that. Mine is basically in the arts. Yours might be something else. But by the way, if you can't find your specific area or something that just doesn't make sense with your class, you can always pick Other. The level is going to be for us at Southwestern Christian College, for most of us, for all of us actually, undergraduate. And then we must pick a grading period. To do that, simply scroll down and you can choose fall of 2018. You can't create these grading periods. These are done by the administrators. And by the way, if you have a Mac computer, sometimes it's difficult to maneuver down here. There won't be a scroll bar. I don't know why that is on Mac. So what you can do is click and drag here at the top and select something, and then just click and drag down, and when you do that, it will go down to this bottom area. We're going to pick fall of 2018. Enroll as admin should already be checked. If not, please do check it, because you're the administrator as the teacher of the course. By the way, all of this information, if necessary, can be edited later, so don't let that concern you if you feel like you made a mistake. You can always go back and change it. We're going to click Create, and it's saying course codes must be unique within your school. So in this particular case, it may be choosing something. It may be asking me to choose something that I've chosen before. Excuse me. That I've chosen before in the course. So I'm going to just go ahead and amend this and go back on what I said earlier. I'm going to go ahead and just choose Humanities 231. And I'm going to click Create. And it's still not allowing me to do it. So I chose one that had already been created, and now it's allowing me in. And by the way, if you do have any problem with that at all, please feel free to contact me. Sometimes Schoology is a little bit persnickety. Now at this point, what we have is a very boring course, as you can see. There's really nothing there. It's just saying get your course up and running by adding and organizing your materials. Well, you don't have any materials, and this is where we want to save you some time by allowing you to import in the course template that we'll be using this semester and hopefully in the future without exception. You're going to want to go to Add Materials. This is normally where if you were creating something, a course totally from scratch, you could add folders, assignments, test quizzes, assessments, files, discussions, pages, media albums, etc. If you don't know what all of these are, that's okay. In the future, we'll be doing training to help you deal with that either collectively or individually. But our key right here is we want to import from resources because we want to use our official Southwestern Christian College course template. So click on Import from Resources. And when that comes up, you're going to notice over here, now you may not have everything that I have here, but you should have Personal, Group, and Apps. What we want to do is go to Group because you've automatically been entered into our SwCC Schoology training group. Groups are very handy in Schoology, and we'll be talking more about those later, but you've already been entered into this one. So wherever it might be, you've got a scroll here. Again, yours probably won't be as long as mine. Go ahead and click on SwCC Schoology Training. And you'll notice that when you do, at the very bottom here, you've got Course Templates, a folder called Course Templates. Please click on it like so, and then you're going to notice here's a folder for Course Template for Training Faculty. This is what we're going to use. Now it's very important that we follow these following steps because if not, it will cost you some time. So what you'll want to do is go ahead and click on Course Template for Training Faculty. And you're going to notice when you do, there's a lot of folders and a basic structure for a course. We're actually using one that was created for one of the Bible courses, and we'll show you how to delete those and bring in your own once you bring this into your course. But for our purposes here, we simply want to bring all of this content into the course that you've just created. To do that, really important, right up here at the top where it says title, click on it, and that's going to automatically select everything in this particular folder. And now we want to click import. Right here at the bottom, import. It's going to give you one last chance to deselect some things in case you're importing a lot of stuff and you discover by looking through here, there's some things I don't really need. But for our purposes, we want to bring in every single thing. So now we're going to click import. And that's going to be coming over. And you'll notice now we've gone from a very boring course to a very nice, colorful, organized course. We've got a Let's Get Started folder for the students. We've got internet links and other resources. We've got a place to keep some of our scoring rubrics if we want to keep those in places other than our grade book and other than our resources. Of course, normally we'll always want to keep them somewhere here in our resources, but more on that later. We're going to scroll down. Now you're going to notice in this particular course template, everything is organized by weeks, and it assumes a week is going to correspond to a topic. Now for many of you, including myself, my topics don't always go by weeks. Sometimes I'll have a topic and it might take 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even longer, to cover that topic. In this particular case, for this particular Bible course, they were organized by weeks. All of this can be edited. All of this can be changed. Anything that you happen to not need in here can be deleted. But I just want you to notice at this point the structure. Every course needs to be organized either in some way by topics. And if it corresponds to weeks, in this case, we've got 8 weeks, and then a midterm, and then a signature assignment, and then weeks 10 through 15. As you know, week 16 is always for our final exams, and we've got a place to house that final exam or that summative assessment, which is usually your final exam, and then a place for the course evaluation. Now, there's not an actual course evaluation in here right now. We just wanted to create a place for it so that when we push that out to you later in the resources, you can import that in. Remember that you always have an option of importing in resources and also saving to your resources, which you'll want to do always with your course at the end of the semester. But for right now, let's show you, for instance, how you might edit some of these things that we're seeing here. Let's say that, again, yours doesn't correspond to weeks. There's a little gear over here to the right of every folder, every assignment, every bit of material. Click on it and you'll notice the very first thing there is edit. If I click edit up here at the top, let's say I wasn't going by weeks, I could select that, delete it, and just say this is topic 1. Now even at that, we still want a time frame for the student, correct? So let's say down here at the date, topic 1 begins on, let's say August 13. I believe our classes start on August 13, but it really doesn't matter. We just want to make sure we picked some time for the topic to start. So I pick it, and then I can also add an end date that this is when the topic is going to conclude. So let's say that instead of a week long, this was a 2-week long, and it's going to end on approximately, it's going to go from August 13th to Friday, August 24th. Now, not only do I have that set up, but the students also not only going to see it on the topic folder, but also, very important, on their class calendar. So let's save it. And again, these other topics would have to be edited as well, because again, let's say you're not going by week topics. and we want these particular things to be able to show up. So now what you'll notice is here on the calendar, topic 1 is showing going through week 1 and week 2 of the course. Hopefully you saw that. The calendar always appears in the main page of the course over here to the right. Upcoming, it's showing nothing upcoming because we're still in July, so it doesn't want to go that much forward and make you think you've got something due pretty quickly. So we can always add an event by either clicking add event, or we can click on the calendar itself just like you saw me do. Let's say I'm going to go forward to August, and if ever on a given date I want to add an assignment or something, I can click the little plus sign right here, and I can add either an event or an assignment. If I want to add other types of material, I'll have to do it in a little different way, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is to add an assignment. Now, an event will not show up in your grade book. It's just an announcement, or maybe just something that you have going, maybe even some important, any kind of important event. And you can change the date here in case you clicked on the wrong date. But assignments are going to show up in your grade book and in your calendar as well. So I just wanted to show you how easy that is to set up. If this is going to be something that's going to be your midterm or your final, you can check this and it'll set it up as that. Very, very handy. And we'll get into more training on that in the future. We just wanted to show you how to edit. So now you know how to import your template into your particular course. Now it's just a matter of bringing in your content. Let's get started. Let's click on it. Ready, set, go. You'll notice that there's a sample template, sample syllabus rather, and then there's a sample quiz. Sometimes you want to make sure that they've read the syllabus by giving them a quiz, and so you can certainly do that. Now in this case, if I were to click on this, it would show up as the Bible course syllabus. Obviously, you don't want that because that may not be your course. So one thing you can do is delete this. We're going to do that. And now we're going to do it, and it's gone. So this will be the second part of what we learned how to do. How do you add your material, such as, let's say, a document, a syllabus here, to a particular folder? All we do is go to Add Materials, go down about halfway, and notice where it says Add File, Link, External Tool. Click on it. Now, a document's generally going to be a file on your computer. So I'm going to click on File, and then this window will come up. Notice it says Attach Files. We're going to click on it. That will allow you to navigate to a particular part of your computer. I'm going to go to my teaching courses here and use this as an example. I'm doing Humanities 231, right? I'm going to click on it. Now, yours may be set up differently than this. Wherever it is, it doesn't matter as long as you know how to navigate and get to it. You might have it saved to your desktop. In that case, you could go over here and just click on desktop. But most of you probably keep your files a little more organized from that. So I'm going to go back to a previous semester. I don't have one created for 2018 yet. I'm still working on that. I double click, and notice I've got something here that says New Syllabus 2017. Now this is a Microsoft document. What I prefer to do is when I'm in Microsoft Word, I save it as a PDF file. PDF files tend to load a little quicker, and they're just really good. That's why they call them portable document files, a PDF. I'm going to choose it by clicking on it once, and I'm going to click Open. And you'll notice it's in the process of uploading it, and it's already completed. It says complete right here. And should you choose to change the name of this, maybe you don't want it to say New Syllabus, you just want it to say Syllabus or Class Syllabus or something, you can actually edit the details and add a title right here and change what shows up to show to the student. I'm not going to do that at this time. I'm just going to say add this file to the course. And now notice I have the syllabus for my humanities course now in my humanities course, which makes much more sense. Now, I would like this to appear at the very top of this list. I want that to be the first thing that the students see. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go to the way I'm going to do this is go to I apologize. I have just done something incorrectly. It's actually a lot easier than what I was attempting to do. Sorry about that. The way I do that is just simply select it, click, and drag it up, let it go, and now just that easy it appears at the top. So just that easy, click, drag, now it appears at the top. And if I do want to create a sample quiz, this one is already set up as a quiz, so if you do want to edit it, you can click on it and change the name to something that might make more sense to you, and you can set it up as a graded category according to the categories that you've created in your grade book. And again, we'll give you training on setting up your grade book if you need it. There's also an excellent video on this Schoology training site that you can get a head start on that if you want to. But now I'm going to click on this quiz since it's already been set up, and notice there's 10 sample questions that have already been set up according to this particular Bible course. You can edit these. They're set up multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank. You can delete one if you don't like it. This has to do with a previous instructor, and so you can just click on the little gear icon and delete it if you want to. But let's just say you want to change it. Your class is not a Bible class. The Bible is the primary required text for this class. That's obviously not going to be true of yours, so click Edit. And you can edit this particular question, and you can say, for instance, for my class, the culture and values is the primary required text for this class because that's what it is. All right. And this is a true-false question, so it's already set up that way. And notice I have to indicate what the actual answer is. I can pick either true or false. In this case, that's true. Notice here, require a correction if false. So if the student misses it, you can force them to go back and get the correct answer. And you can ignore some of these other things, subjective question, time question, all of this. Important here, you can weight this question if this is, say, something that's going to be worth so many points on a 100-point scale. If other questions are worth 1 point, if I weight this at 10 points, it's going to be worth 10 times more than a question that's worth 1 point. Now in this case, they set it up to where to have 10 questions. They've weighted each question 10 points, so they're all the same. You actually could have just left it at 1 point there, and it would have done the same thing. But again, you gotta weight it. If you leave everything at 1 point, it'll stay on a 100-point scale. So you don't actually have to say, okay, I've got 10 questions, so I need to make them all worth 10 points for that to work. You can actually leave them at 1 point. Save question. Click that. And now notice it shows the change that I made there. Culture and values is the primary required test for this class. And you can actually require that the student has to take this test before they can go any further in the course. If I go back to the Let's Get Started, I've got options here called Student Completion. And I can say that the student must view the syllabus. That requires them to actually at least open it. Doesn't require that they have to read it, but at least they're going to be open it. And if I add another requirement here and go to Sample Syllabus Quiz, again, I can rename that if I want to, I can say that they must at least do it, make a submission, or look here. This is very handy because, again, this is on a 100-point scale. I can require that they eventually, take it enough times to where they score 100. And I can save those changes, and now they must score at least 100. Now I'm going to go back into this quiz and show you something. I'm going to click on it once. I'm going to click on the settings. If I'm going to require that they score 100, I'm going to need to give them multiple attempts. So notice here, there's an attempt limit. In this one, they're limited to one time. If I'm going to require that they make 100, I may want to change that and give them unlimited attempts or 5 attempts or whatever. In this case, I'm going to say unlimited because I want them to score 100. I want them to eventually get to the point where they can say, okay, I know everything correctly on this test. Here I can score it in my grade book by the very last attempt or the average score. In this case, I'm going to be generous and say I'm going to give you, no matter how many times you take it, I'm going to give you your highest attempt. You may or may not want to do that, but again, that's an option. These other things you can ignore for the time being. With the exception of this, I really want to show you this. I think question review is normally a good thing. Allow the students to review and change their answers before submitting. I think it's always good to allow them to do that. Resumable, I think that's good for them to allow because if their computer crashes, it allows them to get back in. And then I like to allow them to view their submissions because that's going to allow them to see their score. Whether you want them to see the correct answers or not is up to you. To me, that's a little bit too much of a gimme. So yes, yes, yes on these last 3 items. I think best practices says for most tests that's a good practice. You want to allow them to do that. So I'm going to save the changes. Now they're going to be able to have sufficient attempts in order to know if they got it right or not, if they got 100. So again, I'm going to go back to let's get started. Now notice, because of these requirements, they have to view the syllabus. Obviously, we want them to read the syllabus. And secondly, we want them to take a test on the quiz, and we want them to eventually get 100 to make sure that they've read everything and that they've scored well enough. Okay, well, according to what we saw earlier on our agenda for this, we have successfully imported the course template. And then we should be able to upload our syllabus for the course page. Once again, you need to be able to edit this. By the way, if you ever need to get back to the home page, just go to this link at the very top that has your course name on it, and everything will show. Remember that you can go into any given folder. You can hit the little gear and delete things or edit things, whatever you want to do. And you can customize, and you'll want to customize this course to make it look like you need it to look like without changing the basic overall look at it, because we want consistency across our courses. And you'll be able to, though, manipulate the content to where it matches what you want. More to come. Thank you very much for viewing this video. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to contact Barry Graham or Joyce Cathy. And we